Hi everyone, I'm Lara. I'm a content strategist and I work across events, community and marketing. So today I'm going to talk to you about something that sits underneath a lot of successful brands right now, which is community-led marketing. Not just building an audience, but building something people can actually feel part of. So about me, I've spent the last 6 years working across creative and non-profit marketing. That's taken me from creating content backstage at Glastonbury Festival through to working on strategy for local CICs and community-led projects. And across all of that, the consistent question has been, how do you get people to engage and not just scroll past? So most businesses have an audience. People are watching, following, occasionally engaging, but very few brands have a community. And that difference is huge because a community doesn't just watch, it participates. And the reason this works is actually quite simple. It's human. People trust other people more than brands. People stay where they feel a sense of belonging, and people share things that reflect who they are. So when marketing taps into that, it becomes much more powerful. So starting with the first brand, which I've got some examples from, this is a real clear example of co-creation. Through their Lego ideas, people can submit product ideas, vote on them and see them turned into real products. So instead of just selling it to the customers, they're building with them and they create a completely different level of connection because people feel ownership. What could your audience help you create? And then the next brand that we're exploring is Patagonia does this a bit differently. It's more values-led. Their community is built around environmental belief and shared responsibility. So people don't just buy from Patagonia, they align with it. And when something shares your values, they don't just engage with it. So their campaigns like the stories we wear and things like that. So it creates the loyalty because people can see their identity reflected back to them within the content that they're sharing. And they're also using real hikers as part of their campaigns. And then leading on nicely to the North Face is all about storytelling and identity. So the campaigns like Never Stop Exploring, which are still running on social, it's been a very long-standing campaign for them. So they use real explorers and athletes, not actors. So the storytelling feels real and you can see yourself inside it. It becomes less about product and more about identity, who you are and who you want to be. So it creates like this aspirational image of like the world building that the North Face is creating with their campaigns and their marketing. And also they had I haven't shown it on here, but they had a recent one on TikTok that was, people were sat like in the rain, and it was really cool because you wouldn't expect a brand to do that. And it was really eye-catching on a platform like TikTok. And it had the same message remaining as well. And then another one, which is nice to explore, is if you've heard of Seep, the sustainable cleaning brand. So they make sustainability feel simple and achievable. They focus on small behavior changes and make those visible through customer stories and habits. So community here isn't loud, it's built through everyday action, and that's often where the strongest behavior change happens. So this campaign, I was actually listening to a podcast about this, which is why I added it in, because their customer reviews were saying that they were surprised with how good their products were compared to normal cleaning products. So then they actually used it in their campaign, and they did brand activations in London where you could actually like test the product, which is really cool. And then in my real world application, I've worked with Well Purpose, a local CIC. So the focus wasn't on posting more content, it was refining the messaging so it actually connected with the audience, thinking about what people needed to feel and understand before taking action. And that's where results like a 57 to 70% click-through rate on LinkedIn and over 1,900% growth in link taps on Instagram came from. We were using messaging that was audience first, storytelling, and then weaving all of those things in, seeing what they were saying in the testimonials, and then you can actually use that within your content, and then like as a creative asset, rather than just having a testimonial from a client. So then you attract more people like that because it's within that messaging that really appeals to them, like the SEEP example. So I've been embedding the like social proof into the storytelling, and that's been really effective as well. So like you can like use a quote, but then you give it context within like whether you're selling a product or service. And then so how do you actually start doing this for yourself? I've given a few examples already, but instead of just posting content, ask questions. So on stories, invite people to the conversation, let your audience influence what you create, whether that's content, products or services, reward engagement, even small things like shout outs, early access. There's also things that you can use like closed community groups, whether it's WhatsApp, Instagram, and then you can reward people on the mailing list and give them special discounts as well. So you could like hyper segment your email list to have those people who you know are your like biggest fans, and then they can get like exclusive rewards and discounts, whether it's a product or service. And those are a few that you can use. So thank you for having me, and thank you for coming. So if you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, there's a QR code there, and then there's a portfolio to work with me. Welcome. And if you've got any other questions or would like to go a bit deeper, then I'm happy to chat with you both as well. Oh.
Our connection, it's interesting from the community, because actually I think we work, well I work as a freelancer marketing person for Site Support Worthing, which is a site of charity.
Oh, cool.
And Cassie is a trustee. We hadn't actually met, we've been in touch. So this is our first, so this is, you know, the value of today is we've actually managed to meet. Yeah. You know, so that's been great for us as well. And it's interesting because we do have, although obviously things like Facebook and stuff like that are hard these days, actually we have some really good advocates on there. We share all our stuff.
Yeah.
And we have a lot, you know, we get comparatively high likes for our small audience.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been, that's quite interesting to hear that. It's quite encouraging as well, I think, for us.
Yeah, I think I felt similar with Wild Purpose, and I didn't realise that they actually had a really engaged community on LinkedIn and Instagram. It just needed to be activated with the messaging, and then people started to sign up to the events, or like in your case, fundraise and things like that. So I think it's building advocacy, and then it turns into long-term like word of mouth marketing as well, which has begun to happen with Wild Purpose. And then now with on our profile we have local like business owners that are purpose led, like yoga studios and podcasts, producers like follow us. So I think that really shows that the strategy works, because they're being invited in and you're painting a picture of your brand world where it's about them. So like using storytelling techniques like read it as hero, so you put them as the hero. And then if you've heard of Story Brand, I like to use that one sometimes as well.
I know it. Sometimes I know things that don't
so like yeah, so Donald Miller, sorry, pioneered the Story Brand technique. So this can work across different kinds of content. So whether it's like a landing page, an Eventbrite page, or your social media content. So your customer is the hero and they're stuck in a hole. So your product or service is the rope that pulls them out of the hole and you're the guide, and then your product service relieves them of that pain, and then they come out feeling amazing, and then they advocate, etc., etc., etc. So that's a really nice way of like using the hero's journey, which converts anyway, but then it's going deeper with it. So yeah.
While you're doing it. Our Facebook's actually not too bad. I'm not sure if that's graphics involved, but Instagram is all right, but it's pretty interested to know how.
So I was about to say, like, things like stories, asking people, are they excited for like the upcoming events? Like, how are they doing? Like, checking in with people, just keeping a conversation. And then polls are quite good to see what people are interested in as well. So I would definitely do that. Not only story polls, but polls within content as well as LinkedIn. I haven't done that myself, but I've seen other people do it. Is a really good like strategy for that as well. I think yeah. Yeah.
Come across because it hasn't presented itself.
Yeah.
Like, oh, brilliant. That's great. I guess it depends on the audience.
Yeah. And I think just trying to gauge what they're feeling and what they're thinking is the best way to start, and then you can build up with that. But I think as everything, it's all in the messaging. So if you make it reader first, like placing them inside the story, and then they want to advocate and contribute, and then because once they're in it, they're like, wow, this is amazing, which has started to happen for World Purpose. Like the word of mouth marketing has started to happen through this. So I think it can be really powerful, like whether you're a product or a service.
If you're not actually selling something and you're just trying to get people to participate in the thing, because that's yeah, asking for a friend.
So talk about people's experiences, like what they'll experience when they're there. And then I'm just trying to think when I do it for events. So like use the storytelling in the content and make it really immersive, I think is the main part. So like, oh, like what are you going to learn? Like what is the cost of not attending? Make that really strong. And then I can give you some tips.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
It's all right. Okay. Sorry, that led from community-led marketing into storytelling, but I think they work quite nicely hand in hand. So then it's just making people feel like they're contributing something bigger than, which I think the best marketing, in my opinion, doesn't sound like marketing, and it makes people feel something. Exactly, the people behind it, like people love seeing that kind of, and it's like really good trust building mechanism. So my like main strategy for content is a mixture of trust building and then conversion led. So then like you'll have a behind the scenes post or meet the team or what the company has been up to, and then you have a conversion led where you're trying to sell like the product or service or get more updates, donations, anything like that. But then the trick is to not make it sound like you are. So, and then people do it because psychologically our brains are hardwired to respond to stories. So when it's done well, I actually might do a Brighton SEO talk on this. So it activates the part of our brain where we respond to it, and then it doesn't sound like marketing. It doesn't sound like we're being sold to. We're just reading something like, wow, this is amazing, and then we want to contribute. So. Yeah. Yeah. And then I've been like weaving lots of like different sales psychology and like copywriting, like technique, like loads of different layers into the content, and then that has been converting really well. But it does take a while to know what people want as well. So next week